these two, they're going to reach lengths of around 2 to 2.5 metres. So this little fella, he's going to get a fair bit taller. But they could also end up weighing anything between 30 to possibly even 40 stone. So they're also going to get a lot fatter and a lot heavier too. This chap here, he's weighing in at 21 stone. So in theory, he could double in size. He isn't going to get that big. He's 17. His birthday's in June. He's not going to double in size over the next few months. I reckon he'll reach about 26, 27 stone. But it just gives you an idea visually how big 40 stone is. Imagine two of him stuck together. That'll give you a rough idea. Let me introduce you to them both. We're going to start with the little fella first. This little guy, he's called Roger. Roger is one of our youngsters. He's 8 years old, so he's not a baby, but he's one of our younger ones. He's very clever. He's very sensitive, but he's also very friendly. He does love a flipper shake at the start of the display. Hello, man, how are you doing? You okay? So that's Roger. Now, the big noisy one over in the corner, he's called Arthur. Arthur is the biggest and the eldest of the 3 sea lions we look after. He is also the naughtiest. He's the most likely to muck about. He could cause trouble in an empty house. And as we've heard, he is quite noisy as well. Very clever too though, and don't let his size put you off. He's a big old softie. He loves a flipper shake too, don't you? Alright big man, are you going to be a good boy in this display? You are, right? I'll believe that when I see it, that's for sure. So, the first thing that we're going to ask these two to show you is an ability that sea lions are famous for. And that's their ability to balance things on their noses. Now, I do have some footballs, so we're going to get them both to do a bit of showing off. We'll give Arthur his first. Alright, Arthur, you hold on to that one, buddy. That's it. And Raj, you look after that one. So, lots of people know sea lions can balance, but not everyone knows how they do it. The secret to it is the lovely whiskers you can see on the sea lions' faces. Their whiskers are really, really sensitive. And if you guys look closely, you can see Arthur and Roger's whiskers are not only pointing upwards, they're moving them around as well. And that's because they're feeling which way the football is moving. Now Arthur and Roger do need to listen to them because they're telling them which way to move their head to try to stop the football from falling off. So as long as these two listen, they can probably balance all day long. Now those whiskers do of course have a much more important use. In the wild, sea lions use them to find their food. Sea lions eat fish and squid for a living, and when fish and squid swim, they create thousands of vibrations in the water that the sea lions pick up on using those whiskers. This means they can pinpoint exactly where the fish and squid are hiding. In fact, they're so sensitive, they already know what type of fish and how big it is without needing to see it first. That's it, Arthur, last little bit. Yeah, give them both a big round of applause. You can start that. Come on, buddy. Excellent job from you. So, as I say, these two, they are sea lions. They're not seals. People call them seals all the time, but it isn't true. They're two completely different species. To be fair, they do look quite similar. So between the three of us, we're going to show you how to tell them apart. So the first thing you're looking for, how do they swim? Sea lions only ever swim using their massive paddle-like front flippers. Boys, show everyone your front flippers for me. Let's have a look. That's it, there we go. Now when these two swim, they look a little bit like they're flying, because they move these paddles up and down, like a pair of wings through the water. This will propel them at a top speed of around 15 to 20 miles an hour, so they do swim quite quickly. If Arthur and Roger were seals, their front flippers, well, they'd be about the size of my hands, and they'd be stuck to the sides of their bodies like that, making them really difficult to swim with. So instead, seals swim using the back flippers, and they move those back flippers from side to side like a fish. So the best way to remember that, sea lions swim up and down, seals from side to side. Now because these guys swim with their upper bodies, they have incredible muscles in their chests and their shoulders, which means they're really very strong, and Arthur in particular is very good at the old gymnastics. Arthur, show everyone a front flipper stand for me. There we go. Now, only a sea lion can do this. Seals can't do it because they're tiny front flippers. Wouldn't support all that weight. Yeah, give a big round of applause. That was a crack of that, Arthur. Now, if you're regular visitors to the Sea Lion this way, you'll probably already know this, but for the past couple of years, we've been trying to teach Roger to do the front flipper stand. Now, bless him, he's never really quite got the hang of this. As you've seen with Arthur, when he lifts himself up, he holds his bum in the air all lovely. Roger, on the other hand, looks like a seesaw, because his little bum goes up and down furiously. Now, I'm going to get to show you, because practice makes perfect, but you do have to bear with it. Right, Rog, let's have a little look at yours. Like, get your little bum up in the air, and I'd say, well, this is Roger's mistakes. Now, I do really hope that one day, Roger might get the hang of this, but until that day comes, let's give him a round of applause for trying. Now, there is actually a much better way to tell a sea lion from a seal, and I've saved the best for last. The best way to tell them both apart is by watching how they move on land. Come on, Arthur, come and help me out with this one, bud. Now, me and Arthur, we're going to go for a little wander around, just so I can show you guys what it is that I'm waffling on about. And as we go, we'd really like you to look at all of Arthur's flippers. The first thing to show you, and you can see it with Roger too, their front flippers have an elbow joint. They do this, they make an L shape, and that gives them a pair of feet at the front. Their back flippers are slightly different, because they can rotate them forwards and backwards. Now Arthur's got them facing forwards at the moment, because he knows they're going to go for a walk, so he also knows he needs another pair of feet. But when these guys are sleeping, swimming, or just chilling out and relaxing, they'll turn those slippers right out behind them. So actually, they'll be pointing at you guys instead. So as we go, you guys can see, Arthur uses all four flippers to walk on. They all move individually, and that makes the sea lion really mobile. Arthur's a big lad, but he's agile. He can climb over things. He can use his back flippers to climb and try to reach for things. These guys can run at speeds of up to 10 miles an hour, and they can roll themselves over. So all in all, on land, sea lions, they're fast and they're mobile too. Seals, on the other hand, do move very differently, don't they, Arth? Are you going to show everyone? How does a seal move on land, Arth? Yeah. They jiggle along their bellies and they look like giant slugs. Because seals have these tiny front flippers, and because they're stuck like that, they can't use them as feet. So seals can't walk, they can't climb, and they definitely can't run. Very well done, Arthur. Oh, hello. You want to show me yours now, don't you? Now, in my humble opinion, Roger looks more like a moonwalking caterpillar. But we'll see what you guys think. Come on then, let's see yours. Yeah, look at that. Look how sneaky it is. I tell you what though, they both did a cracking job. Give them a big round of applause. So these are the differences, but there are of course a couple of things that seals and sea lions share. One of those things is quite important because it's their food, their daily diet of fish and squid. Fish and squid, they're not easy things to catch. Sea lions need good eyesight and a good sense of speed and direction. Now here at Knowsley, we give these guys their fish. They've got mackerel and sprats today. So to show you how good they are, I'm going to throw 5 rings to Roger, and we're going to see how many he can catch. Alright little man, are you ready? Here we go. There's 1, 2, 3, well caught, there's number 4. Now the last one, I tried to make a bit harder. So I'm going to give it a spin. Should make it faster and that little bit harder for Roger to catch. So if he does, you guys know what to do, don't you? Alright little man, here it comes, ready? Up! Now, if little Roger were in the wild, he wouldn't be catching fish on the beach. He'd be swimming after them. So I'm going to send him into the water in a second. I'm going to throw the rings from that side to that side, just so you guys can see how fast he is. Alright little man, off you go. That's it, into the water. Okay, Rog, turn it on round because your first one. Oh, there's 2, 3, 4, and that was number 5. Good luck. Sorry, buddy. I have to say that was actually my fault. My ring throwing skills sometimes are like great, but well done, Roger. Now there is, of course, one other thing that seals and sea lions share. Only this time, it's much more dangerous because it's their enemies. California sea lions have 2. The first one is the killer whale, or the orca, that's its proper name. I'm not going to tell you the other one, Arthur's going to show you. Okay Arthur, what is your deadliest enemy? Yeah, he's got it. The tiger shark, the bull shark, the hammerhead and the great white. They think sea lions make a very nice lunch. So the minute these guys think an enemy is close by, they swim back to the beach where their enemies can't get to them. Again, give them a big round of applause for the shark. He's doing that today, well, do you know what guys? We are quite close to the end of this afternoon's display. Before we go though, we're going to get these 2 to finish things off with their high wall jumps. Now this is where they take it in turns to leap out of the water and try to touch that pink ball with their nose. Roger's going first, and at the moment he can hit the high ball. I don't know, is that okay, Rog? If you've never been before, Roger is quite the daredevil. So he's going to be starting his high ball attempt from up there on top of his tower. So in a moment, the little fella, he's going to climb the stairs to that platform at the top. He's then going to dive off into the water, swim across, and try to touch that pink ball with his nose. Now of course, if he does, once again, you guys have to give him a big round of applause. He's been ever so good, and this takes tons of effort. Alright, twinkle toes, off you go. You head over to your tower, that's it. Now watch how quickly Roger climbs these stairs. Great example of mobility. There we go. He's away, hit the high ball! Excellent job, Roger. Well done. though, it does give me a quick chance to tell you about our posters. At the end of the display, we will be selling posters of Roger, Arthur, and Louis, our other little sealion. We're selling them from both sets of doors. The posters are £2 each, or you can get all 3 for a £5. Now, I know times have been tight for everybody, folks, but it's been a real struggle for us at the sealions. Because we're indoors, when restrictions have changed, we've been the first thing to close and the last thing to open. So basically, if you can afford to support us and buy a poster, we really would appreciate the help at the moment. We haven't finished yet though. It is Arthur's turn. And we don't go a lot higher for Arthur. We're going to go a couple of inches to about here. Now bearing in mind, Arthur doesn't jump off of the tower. He starts from where he is now. He's a lot bigger, he's a lot heavier, and he's got a lot further to travel. So if Arthur hits it, this time round, you guys have to give him a great big cheer. Now this means all the mums and dads, nans and granddads and all the kids, everybody has to join in, because this takes the most effort of all. Now we always get you guys to send Arthur on his way, and you do that by shouting 1, 2, 3, and then shout go. The louder you guys are, the better Arthur does. And if you're not loud enough, he won't leave his stand. So the louder, the better. Okay, gang? I'm going to start you off, but the rest is all down to you guys, okay? Are you ready? Here we go! 1, 2, 3, go! But please stay in your seats. I can't open the doors till I've done the last couple of bits of announcements. So first of all, as I said earlier, these 2 are going straight outside. But when I come back in, I'm going to go stand where I was before with Arthur. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to come and ask. I love to talk about these guys. I'll do my best to answer. Secondly, folks, and this is the big one, when you do leave the seats, please use the stairs. I know that's common sense, but we've had some accidents recently, and it's all been from silly people climbing over benches. Please don't ruin your day, take your time, use the stairs. Finally, thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoyed the display. From Arthur, Roger and me, have a lovely afternoon. We'll stay with you.